Typical Books newbie tag. So I'm not actually reviewing a book today. I promise not to make it a habit. Hello! Today on Typical Books I'm going to do the BookTube newbie tag because I haven't before, and not that I don't think I'd be considered a new booktuber, but I've never really joined the community necessarily. I've tagged things with BookTube, that's for sure, but I haven't done any introductory things like Hello BookTube or BookTube newbie tag or anything like that at all. So I figured that it's Christmas, so I might as well do that. And because I do BookTube and I do tag things BookTube and I do watch a lot of BookTubers, so here we go. Question 1. Why did I start this channel? Because I did a lot of book reviews and I do read a lot, and I curate the Horror Writers Association new releases page. So I do see a lot of new horror books in and out, and I don't get a chance to read them all. I don't get a chance to talk about them all. I don't get a chance to review them on my blog as much as I should. So when I do read a book, I want to share it. And I've always been a big book sharer and like talking about books. So I figured because I have such a bookish life, and I'm an author as well, a published author, that I might as well share it on YouTube where everyone else does. Question 2 is, what are some fun and unique things I can bring to BookTube? I don't know about fun because I predominantly do horror and my page isn't all bells and whistles and it doesn't really follow the BookTube formula. So I don't know about fun and unique, but it is unique in that it is just all horror, maybe? And because I talk about the covers of the books and the actual fabrication of the books, and I like looking at the spines of the books, which some people don't really talk even about books on their BookTube channel, so I think keeping it book focused might be fun and unique. Question 3 is, what am I most excited for on this new channel? It's not that new, and I'm not that excitable of a person, but I am excited to try and keep some sort of schedule. So maybe bringing book videos more regularly. And I'm pretty excited about my coffin that my husband built for me. It's wonderful. That was a wedding gift. So if you find it annoying or distracting, that's too bad. It won't be on in every video, but I thought this was a very good and festive way to have a little bit of holiday lights, a little bit of cheer. Question 4 is, why do I love reading? I don't know. I just do. I've always read. I've been read to since I was very little. Hansel and Gretel was my favorite thing to have read to me or told to me, because reading doesn't really happen when it comes to bedtime stories like that, when I was little anyway. Yeah, I've always grown up in a house lined with bookshelves, so it just seems like a natural thing, and I love writing, so I don't think you can be a very powerful or, tight writer without having read a lot of what other people do. You glean a lot from osmosis that way. You learn mostly from reading, and that translates into my writing, I think. I'd like to think so. So I am just a lifelong reader, and that's why. What book or series got me into reading is question 5, and maybe just Grimm's fairy tales. That's probably it. My mom used to read us the Alfred Noyes, The Highwayman poem, which isn't prose, of course, but it definitely got me more excited to read more, and I started reading more Edgar Allan Poe, so I don't think that counts as a series, but Stephen King's work definitely did. Series, maybe Lord of the Rings and things like that, all the Tolkien stuff, because that was definitely around when I was little. Ellery Queen magazine and Alfred Hitchcock definitely did too. Number 6 is, what questions would I ask my favorite booktubers? One of my favorite booktubers is Chapter Stacks and RG Devilship, both of them. I don't know what I'd have to ask them. They have really well-rounded channels and answer most questions, and I'm a bit of a lurker, so what are you reading next? Let's see your secret TBR? I don't know. I don't know what I would ask them. Things. Question 7 is, what challenges about having a BookTube channel do I think would be hardest to overcome? Keeping a schedule, finding time. I'm not that worried about reading what everyone else is reading. I'm going to be hitting a few books coming up that others have read and have had videos about, but I do think that it's tough to choose books that I'll have enough to say about, because a lot of times you do read a book and you're just like, yep, that was great, and you put it back. That, or having a book that I have too much to talk about, or other people have had many opinions about that I've sort of been steeped in as well. So I want to be able to bring my own opinion to things, which might be sorely lacking in really usable information for you. Question 8 is, when did I start reading? Very young. I think I was 3 years old, and I read an Andy Capp cartoon out of the newspaper to my grandmother on the phone because it was such a novelty that I was 3 and could read. So I started reading, like doing the physical act, very young. Question 9 is, where do I read? Typically in a chair or something, on a couch, on a bus. Sometimes I have really bad vertigo, so it's only been with the advent of e-readers that I was able to read on a bus properly, because I do get kind of ill reading on a bus. I know a lot of people get motion sickness. Try e-readers. I found that it made a huge difference. I can actually read in a moving vehicle, so I'm pretty excited about that. I read in cafes. I don't know if that's cliche. I write in cafes as well, a lot too. There's a cafe nearby that I frequent, and it's not rare to find me there with a book or with a laptop or a notepad or my iPad, something like that. Whether it's an e-reader or an actual paper book, which I usually do prefer. I read a lot in cafes, and I read at work on my lunch break, and I read in a chair downstairs and on the couch and in my bed. I read everywhere. Question 10 is, what books do you like to read? And that will be the bulk of the books that you'll find on Typical Books, are horror books. I don't know if I was born into the gothy name of Lydia. My mom's name has something to do with the constellation Orion that has a star in it named Betelgeuse, and if I was born after 1988, I could claim some sort of provenance alongside that movie and the actual Lydia Deetz. But no, it's just a natural thing for me. Horror is almost all that I read, so horror is what I'll talk about on Typical Books. So thanks very much for checking this silly video out. It was fun, definitely fun, and I do like watching other people's BookTube newbie tags, and especially when someone has been established and is doing BookTube newbie or a newbie 2.0. I do enjoy watching those videos, so I hope you enjoyed watching this one. Thanks very much. If you have a horror book that you want me to read, let me know. Thanks. Trying to not look too crazy. It's tough.